They say a mother's love can endure anything. But no one talks about the silent tears she sheds every night, or the bruises she hides beneath long sleeves. This is the story of Nyambura, a woman who stayed too long. Until she didn't. Nyambura sat silently at the edge of her bed, a steaming cup of tea in her hands, though she wasn't drinking it. The muffled cries of her son from the next room broke her heart again. Her husband, Patrick, lay passed out on the sofa, the stench of alcohol thick in the room. He had come home angry again, and like always, her body bore the evidence. She looked up at the family portrait on the wall, fake smiles painted over pain. She had stayed for the children, for Brian and Nia. They were only 7 and 5. They needed a father, she told herself over and over again. But deep down, she knew what they really needed. A safe home, a sane mother, peace. That night had been the worst yet. He called her useless, slapped her in front of the children. Brian had cried, shielding his little sister behind the curtains. Something inside Nyambura cracked. Something quiet, but irreversible. In the bathroom, she stood in front of the mirror. Her lip was bloodied, her eye swollen, but it wasn't the bruises that shook her. It was the emptiness in her eyes. She barely recognized the woman staring back at her. And then she whispered, "This is not love. This is not life." Before sunrise, she packed only one bag, grabbed her children. No goodbye, no tears, just silence. She found herself in a women's shelter. The room was small, empty, just mattresses on the floor. But for the first time in years, she slept without fear. It wasn't easy. She cleaned floors, worked in kiosks, braided hair on the roadside, just enough to buy milk and ugali for the kids. But every night, her children slept peacefully. And that was everything. Nyambura started dreaming again, of more than just survival, of healing, of building something. With borrowed clippers and a borrowed dream, she opened a tiny roadside salon. Her hands, once trembling from fear, began to create beauty. Her gift spoke louder than any advertisement. Word spread. Nyambura's touch became known not just for flawless braids, but for being a space of healing. 3 years later, she owned a full salon with 5 employees, all women who had once stood where she stood. She became an ambassador for a foundation that helped women walk away from abusive homes. She was no longer a victim. She was a warrior with a purpose. One day, in front of a full community hall, Nyambura stepped up to the microphone. She took a deep breath and looked at the audience. "I once believed that staying in an abusive marriage was strength," she said. "But walking away took more courage than I ever thought I had. Today, my children smile freely, and I smile with them. To every woman out there, listen closely. Your healing begins the day you stop apologizing for choosing yourself." The applause was thunderous. In the front row, Brian and Nia beamed with pride. Nyambura never looked back. She walked away from the fire and straight into her freedom, into her future, into her purpose. And as she stood there, tall and unshaken, one truth echoed louder than ever. She stood in the storm, and when the wind did not blow her way, she adjusted her sails. Elizabeth Edwards. Because sometimes, the bravest thing a woman can do is to walk away. Kindly subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment.